everybody, please do give these two extremely interesting presentations their due. I'm not going to speak very much right now, but I just wanted to make one or 2 points, which is that the conference, which is a landmark conference, and I think a milestone in not just documenting, but in bringing to the surface the question that, in my view, we need to think about. And as I said, I'm not going to speak about it very much now, but maybe we can come back to it after the presentations. 2 things. One, what constitutes a women's archive? What is it made up of? And how is it to be collected? And a corollary to that is, what constitutes a feminist archive? We've been going around and around this conversation, especially with regard to Saleha Abid Hussain. Was she an Islamic feminist? Was she a crypto-feminist? Was she feminist at all? Were any of these writers feminists? This has come up again and again and again, not today, but earlier. And it has come up with regard to several of the writers that form part of this endeavor, I would say. So that's those 2 questions about what is the archive, what constitutes it, and how is it to be understood. And the second question that to me is very important is, we are not concerned merely, and I certainly hope that this project is not concerned only with women's participation or with their role, but in how they intervened. They were interlocutors. They were not simply participants. They were not simply contributing. They were intervening. Now, I want us to consider this, and I want to consider the 2 presentations that will follow in that light. The question for me is that this compensatory history of women is all over. It's in the past, it's happened. It's been done for 30 years now. There is no reason for us to replay that this is what women did, this is the compensation, this is how they contributed, etc., etc. The questions we have to ask now is, what was the qualitative difference between their participation and every other participation in that public sphere? In the public sphere, how were they intervening in that? Both presentations this afternoon are 2 exceptional women, 2 exceptional lives in 2 completely different trajectories. What does that tell us about how we are to understand this business of women in the public sphere? In this particular case, Jamia women, but I'm saying that the context in which we look at these Jamia women is, of course, the much wider horizon of women's participation and contribution, etc., in the public sphere, and then Jamia women, as is the subject of this particular conference. But as I have been saying for some time, we have to look at it across the board, not just women in UP, women in Jamia, women in Hyderabad, women in Bengal, women in wherever, but as a question that addresses the qualitative aspect of what we are trying to do. Margaret Pernau, I have known for ages as a sociologist and as a scholar and an academic, and now a quasi-biographer. Am I right? Because it is of Gerda Phillips Bourne, not a complete biography because it intersects with a biography of Jamia. This is also very interesting. How do we do a dual biography of the individual that overlaps with the institution? How is this to be written? How is this to be written? How is such a biography that is an overlap to be presented? And I'm greatly looking forward to listening to Margaret, although I had a bit of a peek on to her paper, and Asad Faisal Farooqi's paper on a Gandhian political activist out there. There was a question this morning, right, about, so I hope your answer is forthcoming. So we will take Asad first, and then Margaret. Asad is this is his PhD work?
No, this is a biographical sketch.
Oh, a biographical study. Asad is at Aligarh Muslim University.
Based on primary sources.
Wonderful. Here we have an example of a primary archive. What he is presenting to us is based on primary sources, not secondary, which to me is invaluable as a resource. So I'm not going to hold him up any longer because I can't wait to hear him.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon. I am very much thankful to Professor Nishazati Madam and Professor Margaret for inviting me to present a paper on Begum Khursheed Khwaja in this important seminar. Title of my paper is Begum Khursheed Khwaja, an Unsung Gandhian Freedom Fighter, educationist and journalist, and her role in early phase of Jamia Islamia. Before presenting my paper, I would like to present a short PPT of some of rare photographs related to her life. This is the photograph of late 60s Begum Khursheed Khwaja. Begum Khursheed Khwaja, along with her husband Abdul Majid Khwaja, in 1980 at Allahabad. When she visited Agra jail to discuss the affairs of Jamia with her husband in 1922. Mahatma Gandhi's telegram to Begum Khwaja on 15 December 1921 to congratulate her on the arrest of her husband. इसमें जो है नेशनल मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी अलीगढ़ शुरू किया है विद्वानी जी ने वीकली हिंद एडिटेड बाय खुर्शीद ख्वाजा फ्रॉम अलीगढ़, टाइटल पेज डेटेड 27 September 1922. Gandhiji's Urdu letter to Begum Khursheed on December 1924, instructing her to spin charkha. Pandit Nehru, along with Begum Khursheed Khwaja and A.M. Khwaja and other family members, when he visited Aligarh in 1956. Begum Khursheed and Abdul Majid Khwaja with the A.H. Khwaja founder Sigla in 1960. These are some photographs which shows. Now I start my paper. Begum Khursheed Khwaja, though consigned mainly to oblivion, was a prominent female face of the Indian freedom struggle. A freedom fighter, social reformer, educationist and journalist. She was the wife of Abdul Majid Khwaja, distinguished freedom fighter and nationalist leader who had actively supported Gandhiji's non-violent resistance. Born in Hyderabad in 1896, she was the daughter of Justice Hamidullah Khan, Chief Justice of Hyderabad Deccan High Court, known as Nawab Sir Buland Jung. He was the first student of MO College, Aligarh. Her grandfather, Maulvi Sabiullah Khan, an early supporter of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, also set up to Muslim boarding house at Allahabad University. Khursheed Khwaja studied up to the junior Cambridge, that is 9th class, and was well versed in Urdu and English. At Hyderabad, she was close to Sarojini Naidu. According to her son, Professor Jamal Khwaja, I think her close association in Hyderabad with the family of Sarojini Naidu must have been a great advantage for her in reconciling the two streams of influence. After marriage, Khursheed Khwaja discarded Parda and fought shoulder to shoulder in the freedom struggle with her husband. Both were actively involved in the freedom struggle, first at Aligarh and then Allahabad. She edited the weekly Hind from Aligarh to propagate the freedom movement among Urdu-knowing women and sought their support for Swadeshi and non-cooperation movement. As an educationist, she worked for women's education with Sheikh Abdullah and his wife Faiz Jahan, founder of Female Association at Aligarh. She and her husband managed to work Jamia al-Islamia in the early phase. Later, she settled in Allahabad, where she opened a girls' school named after her father, the Hamidiya Girls' School, which later became Hamidiya Girls Inter College and subsequently Hamidiya Girls Degree College in 1975. Role in freedom movement. Begum Khursheed Khwaja enthusiastically participated in the freedom struggle, especially in the Swadeshi and Khilafat movement. To support the Swadeshi movement, she opened up and ran Swadeshi Khadi Bandar at Aligarh, wore khadi and persuaded other women to do so. She and other women activists publicly set afire a foreign-made garment and sought the complete Swaraj. Apart from this, Begum Khursheed Khwaja taught Gandhiji Urdu script and became the recipient of the first postcard written in Urdu by Mahatma Gandhi. In 1920, she became a member of the Indian National Congress, and in 1921, she represented UP in the subject committee of the All India Congress at Ahmedabad Congress session. Other prominent nationalist women from UP like Begum Hasrat Mohani, Begum Muhammad Ali, Kamala Nehru and Swarup Rani Nehru were also there. According to her son Jamal Khwaja, at Aligarh during the heyday of Khilafat movement, she opened and ran a Khadi Bandar, took an active part of women's welfare activities and the work of Jamia Millia Islamia, in whose founding and maintenance at Aligarh her husband had a leading role. In Aligarh, Begum Khursheed Khwaja and other Muslim women handed over all their jewelry to Gandhiji for the cause of India's freedom. Aligarh showed the in 1922 when Sarojini Naidu visited Aligarh during the Khilafat movement, Begum Khwaja arranged a meeting of nationalist women at her home to discuss the issue of national Muslim unity. On September 10, 1924, when she was in Solan, Gandhiji wrote a letter from Sabarmati exhorting her to continue with charkha and khadi. If you have stopped dyeing the charkha, you should start it again and send 2,000 yards of yarn every month. Role in the early phase of Jamia Islamia. Mr. Abdul Majid Khwaja and Begum Khursheed Khwaja were co-founders of Jamia Islamia along with Maulana Muhammad Ali, Mahatma Gandhi, Hakim Ajmal Khan and other at Aligarh in 1950, which in July 1925 shifted to Karol Bagh, Delhi. Begum Khwaja also actively participated in women's welfare activities in the work of the newly founded Jamia Islamia. That was the time when Jamia was known as the National Muslim University. In 1921, Abdul Majid Khwaja was appointed as the Jamia's Vice Chancellor. At that time, he was president of the District Congress Committee of Aligarh and the Khilafat Committee of Aligarh. He was arrested on December 15, 1921, due to his participation in the public gathering in Aligarh city and sent to Agra jail, where many other Congress leaders were also imprisoned. His wife, Begum Khursheed Khwaja, sent a wire to Gandhiji, informing him that her husband was arrested and that she would now manage the Jamia. She wrote, "Gladly informed husband arrested this morning. He asked me to tell you that he was filled with joy. I hope I shall continue his work to my utmost capacity. Aligarh is peaceful, yet fearfully energetic. Khursheed Khwaja." In response to her wire, Gandhiji instantly sent her reply telegram on December 15, 1921. "Congratulate you, your brave husband. I know Aligarh boys will loyally obey you." Gandhiji also wrote 2 columns praising her and her husband's nationalist work. The column "A Worthy Wife" was published on December 22, 1921 in the Young India, Part 8, page number 426. And another one, "On Honor to That Wife," was published in Naujiman on December 18, 1921. Both columns are included in collected works of Mahatma Gandhi. The content of both of them is approximately the same. Gandhiji wrote, in Worthy Life, Gandhiji wrote, "I tender my congratulations to Khursheed Begum on her having sent such a noble message just as her husband was going to jail. Khwaja Sahib is a barrister, brought up in the lap of luxury. I have known him as a dandy, conscious of his handsome feature, which he tried to set off with the finest fitting European clothes he could buy in the market. And I know him now as practically a fakir. He is one of the bravest and the truest of Muslims. He is a lover of India as he is of Islam. When Maulana Muhammad Ali could not possibly reside permanently at the National Muslim University, he fell back upon Khwaja Sahab, who left growing practice in Patna to serve the university. No wonder his proud wife does not hesitate to say, I hope I shall continue his work to my utmost capacity. Let not the reader laugh incredulously. I know the Aligarh boys. They will twine themselves around Khursheed Begum as perhaps they did not in the case of Khwaja. When a pure woman aids a bravery and motherliness to her purity. She becomes at one a magnet in a way no man can. Dr. Muhammad Alam will look after the brains of the boys, but she will capture their hearts and turn them into gold. And what is more is the students have to become masters of the art of spinning. Dr. Khurshid Begum. I doubt now not will distance both her husband and Dr. Muhammad Alam in teaching that art. Gandhi, in the same column praising the sacrifices of women for the nation, wrote, Begum Muhammad Ali has collected monies where her husband might have failed. I have already given my opinion that she is better speaker than the Maulana. Let me take the reader into the secret that it was the Shrimati Vasanti Devi and Urmila Devi who set Bengal on fire. I have before me a letter showing that the visit of three ladies and their arrest struck the imagination of Bengal as a big sacrifice of Deshbandhu Das and not. I could not be otherwise, for woman is sacrifice personified. When she does a thing in the right spirit, she moves mountains. We have misused our women, we have possibly neglected them, but the spinning wheel, thank God, is transforming them. When all the leaders and others who are in the good books of the government have been honored with imprisonment, I have not the faintest doubt that the women of India will finish the work left by men, and they will do it far more gracefully than men. In a letter to Mahadev Desai on December 22, 1921, Gandhiji wrote, Khwaja has been arrested. His wife writes to say that she will continue his work. Gandhiji also wrote a column on Begum Khursheed Khwaja in Gujarati, Nojivan. In this column, Gandhiji wrote, Khurshid Begum informing me that he has been arrested by the government. She says, you will be pleased to know that my husband having been arrested by the government. I shall run the university. I was very pleased to receive this telegram, for which instances such as the Khwaja Sahib's holy sacrifice on the one hand and the patient and courage of his Begum on the other, who can stop the coming of Swaraj. The Jamia Islamia began functioning in a legal lurch from one crisis to another. Maulana Muhammad Ali, its vice chancellor, deeply involved in the non-cooperation and Khilafat movement, handed the charge to Abdul Majid Khwaja on Gandhiji's advice. For nearly 5 years, Khwaja managed the affairs of Jamia at Aligarh. In the time of crisis, his wife Begum Khursheed Khwaja sold her jewelry for the smooth running of Jamia. When Khwaja was sent to jail in December 20, Begum Khursheed Khwaja shared the responsibility of sustaining the newborn institution. She frequently visited the Agra jail to discuss the issues of Jamia with her husband. According to Tariq Hassan, for a few days it seemed that the dream would come to an end. But sensing the urgency of the situation, Khwaja Sahib's wife Begum Khursheed accepted the challenges of managing the day-to-day affairs of the institution. While addressing the women's gathering on November 17, 1946, on the occasion of the Silver Jubilee celebration of Jamia Millia Islamia, she advocated for women's education, presented a resolution, and forced the Jamia administration to start a high school for girls at Jamia. As an editor of Weekly Hind, Begum Khursheed Khwaja also started Urdu Weekly Hind, an important nationalist periodical from Aligarh. In June 1922, to support the freedom movement, it was the first of its periodical edited by a woman. It mainly focuses on political, education and empowerment of women and provided an outlook of freedom movement to Indian Muslim movement. It provided a platform to them through which they could transform their feelings and emotions on paper. It appeared bite size and comprised 16 pages, carrying articles, reports and news in 3 columns. It was published in Matbaa Millia, जो जामिया मिलिया इस्लामिया का जो पब्लिशन होता है उसी से पब्लिश होता था ये अखबार अलीगढ़. The title page was divided into 2 parts. The upper half had masted around with title decorated with an Indian map. On both ends of the map, at the place of Gujarat and Assam, the Indian flag with charkha was printed. Above the beautifully scripted weekly Hind titles, Allah Akbar with runs raised was printed in Urdu script. Beside this, at each corner, 2 couplets of Urdu were written. At the lower half of the title, a nazm was presented to instill a feeling of independence in the readers. Begum Khursheed's Hind undoubtedly was a political and social political. It aimed to educate and empower women, spread awareness about various pro-independence activities, and instilled feelings and sentiments for the freedom struggle. Speeches from freedom movement leaders and news of political struggle in different parts of the world were published prominently. A close reading of few weekly issues shows that its special nature. It carried articles and reports by both male and female writers. The column Alam-in-Isma, meaning Word of Women, provided large space of budding women writers and encouraged them to write and share their views on various perspectives of the freedom movement, political and economic condition, contemporary peace and social condition of women. It also borrowed articles from contemporary newspapers and magazines such as Muslim Outlook, Lahore, Johor Delhi, Zamana Kanpur, Hamdam Lucknow, and Wakil Lahore. One of the leading Urdu novelists of the early 20th century, Nazar Sajjad Haidar, wife of Sajjad Haidar al-Dilm, mentioned in the epilogue of her novel Jawaz 1935 that she wrote the novel at the behest of my respected sister Begum Khursheed, editor of Hind, to publish it in her newspaper. Some of its parts were published in Hind. The issues content dated September 27, 1922 present various topics related to national movement. One on the title page was the Nazm of Maulana Azad Subhani, Ifadat-e-Azad. In the editorial, the editor discussed the various perspectives of social and political upheaval in different corners of the world due to colonialism. The magazine provided a diversity of discussion on Mashriq-e-Qarib, Anwar Pasha, Angure-ke-Firangi, Akali Sikh, Hamare Etadal Pasand, Maulana Rashid Ahmed की वफात. Under the column Alam-in-Isma, articles and reports such as बहने से दो बातें by खुर्शीद बेगम, जनाना दुआ व नमाज सोलन में by नजर सजाद हैदर, स्वराज कब मिलेगा by रिजलिया खातून, and appeared in this issue. With a close analysis of the editorial and articles of this issue, the various aspects of the editor's personality, her understanding and perspective of politics could easily be gauged. So she was not merely a woman of nationalist outlook, but she had a polished political personality who intensely studied the political situation on national and international level. In one such editorial, commenting on the meeting of moderates entitled Hamare Etadal Pasand, the editor writes, our moderators, the editor writes, in this week, a farewell dinner was given to Sir William Millicent by the Indian members, and Sir Dinshaw Wacha, the famous Indian patriot who had served the Congress for nearly 50 years, was its president. His long age made his political thoughts unpalatable and reduced his intelligibility. It seemed that even patriotism might want to end now, or you might never have heard the eloquence he uttered in praise of Sir William. The fact is that after Sir William's speech in the council on the character of Maulana Muhammad Ali and Mahatma Gandhi, an Indian who respects him means he sells his honor at a low price. We are surprised at what to say to those Indian members of the council who gathered on the summit of Shimla to praise Sir William and did not bother their honor and their respect and the respect of India. She aimed to inculcate political awareness among women and develop feelings of freedom. She wanted more participation of women in the freedom movement, and in accomplish this mission, she published speeches of nationalist leaders. She discussed their political agendas and activities to convince women to participate in this movement and rise against the atrocities of the colonial government. She wrote in the column "बहनों से दो बातें." In the coming week, due to my absence, it is challenging to publish the special number on the occasion of the birthday of Gandhiji, internationally recognized leader of independence, Mahatma Gandhi. However, I wish my sister could contribute articles on various aspects of Gandhiji's struggle for freedom. Although the contribution of Gandhiji are universally accepted, and everyone living in this country is very well aware of this. The women of this country especially want to thank him for the kindness. The participation of Muslim women in the freedom movement made her jubilant. Independent Allahabad pragmatism has successfully implemented the proposal of, she wrote, Independence Allahabad pragmatism has successfully implemented the proposal of Sheikh Mubashir Hussain Qadwai to support Angura. Independence suggested a small battalion of the Indian Army would be sent to support the Turks. In this connection, we are delighted that our two sisters, Begum Khursheed and her daughter, have given their names for services as nurses in the battalion. This announcement should undoubtedly be remembered as a rare in modern national history. Dr. Abida Samiuddin mistakenly mentioned the magazine publication periodicity as monthly. She wrote, she opened a Khadi Mandar in Aligarh in 1921. She started a monthly Hind from Aligarh. She single-handedly managed the publication of this magazine and wrote editorials. In a postcard, Gandhiji expressed joy in learning Urdu that he was writing the first letter in Urdu to her. Hind was exceptional because Muslim women published the first Urdu periodical during independence. The weekly under Begum Khwaja's editorship worked against communal politics and molded public opinion for the freedom movement under the leadership of Gandhiji. Besides this, it promoted communal harmony and peaceful coexistence between followers of different religions. As the founder of Hamidiya School for Girls, she was a strong supporter of modern education for Muslim girls. And in 1926, when her family shifted to Allahabad from Aligarh, she started a movement for girls' education in Allahabad. Initially, there were many challenges, but soon many unknown women of Allahabad of that time, such as Zaidi sister, Begum Muhammad Hassan, Begum Waliullah, Lady Shah Suleiman, and the ladies of the Nehru and Safru families gave her help in this cause. She first opened Hamidiya Primary School on May 4, 1932 at Patthar Gali in an interior part of the city, at the house of Dr. Sayyid Ali Zaidi, to spread education among the Muslim girls of the area. She served as the first manager of the school until 1942. Begum Khwaja returned to Aligarh in 1944 because of her husband's ill health. Abdul Majid Khwaja, ill health of Abdul Majid Khwaja. The seat she sought for girls' education in Allahabad in 1932 is now known as Hamidiya Degree College under Allahabad University. She passed away on July 7, 1981 at 87 and was buried in the family graveyard adjacent to the Sufi saint Shah Jamal Shrine on the outskirts of Aligarh. Thank you.